The message should be, look at Jesus Christ. Look at our peace. We're not going to stir the pot. We're not going to rub your noses in the fact that we're a church and we feel like we're elite and we're better than you and we can meet when you can't. We're not going to do that. We're not going to have a gathering of 300 people when the small business can't even operate with their 8 because of the social distancing rules and the fact that the government doesn't consider it essential. But we're going to sit here on Sunday and endanger lives because we're elite and we're better than everyone else. And I know you're sitting there thinking, well, that's not what we're saying. That is what you're saying. That's what the world hears. Trust me. Hello everybody, it's Julie, and I'm not doing this video live because I'm just not. But alright, so I'm seeing one person. I act like it's this whole community, but it really essentially is. Where we're trying to turn this social isolation, social distancing, no large groups over 10 thing into a religious situation, and it's not. And I just have to caution people, because if you want to create persecution, this is how you do it. I feel like we have enough enemies of Christianity without us creating one. And right now we're in a place where we are actively creating an enemy. We are actively we're sitting here throwing stones at the government and saying, look, you want to fight? You want to fight? I'm going to throw a stone at you. You want to fight? Stop it. Just stop it. If you do some research, you'll see that you are not the only people having to not have large group gatherings. Christians are not the only ones not being allowed to get together. And I said this in my video yesterday. We are not the only ones that are being prevented from meeting. Essentially, you have to be wise about this. The Bible tells us to be harmless as doves and wise as serpents. I'm using that scripture a lot because I feel like it's being lost in the grand scheme of things. I feel like we are excusing a lot of stuff that we should not be excusing, and we're doing a lot of things we should not be doing. I was thinking about it today. This is an opportunity for the church to legitimately be the church. And we have to look at what we're doing. A lot of churches, in fact, the majority of churches, are actually handling this in a very positive way. They have taken to social media and have begun to have their services online. They are using phone trees and messaging to reach out to people in their isolation and make sure everything is okay. Some will probably be having their small groups in homes with less than 10 people, getting together and sharing God's word in an intimate setting. Consider the fact that, as I've said, Jesus had thousands of followers, but he kept it down to 12. And I think that we need to remember that it's all about relationships, especially during a time like this. Who are the forgotten in your community? That's who we should be reaching out to. Now, in regards to the arrest of a pastor, he was given a $500 bail. That's a slap on the wrist for a mega church pastor. I'm sorry, it is. If he wants to go legally to pursue this, I see this just being more fodder for the anti-Christian group. I already kind of see it being that, truthfully, just because they opted to have a mass gathering. And all that they did, precaution-wise, that the media reported, and granted it's the media, and we can't take everything they say logistically correct. I don't even know if that's the right words. But all that he did was sanitize the church. And that's not going to help. It's a step in the right direction. But the virus isn't in the church. The virus is in the people coming into the church. And there's only so much you can do. As the media has shown us, once again, grain of salt. But as scientists have shown us, the masks don't really necessarily prevent the spread of the virus. They help, but they don't prevent it. So even if in this church gathering with 300 plus people, I think that's how much it was. 2 different services, by the way. If they gave out masks, even that wouldn't have been enough. But beside that fact, this is not against the church. This is not a ploy for you to give up your liberties. This is not a test for you to stand your ground. This is about a virus that is easily spread through close contact. I have noticed of late how much I actually spit when I talk. I can be brutally honest about that. Then you have the other things, the coughing, I rubbed my nose. Oh, how are you, Brother Frank? You know? It's just stuff like that. It's not persecution, people. It's not anti-Christian. I'm going to say, I am not a Trump supporter. However, if you look at things going on right now, if we've ever needed a president like Trump, this would have been the situation to have it. I know that sounds really, really out there. I'm not saying that he's the smartest president we've had. I'm not saying that he's the best president we have. Like I said, I'm not a Trump supporter. What I am saying is he's probably one of the most supportive of Christianity that we've had in a while. So while you're sitting here freaking out and believing that you're being persecuted, you're not. If you're going to go against what the government is telling you to do in regards to social distancing, and then you're going to get penalized for your deliberate acts of rebellion, that is called justice. We need to be aware that we could be spreading a lot of things we should not be spreading, including coronavirus, if we are making mountains out of molehills. This isn't even a molehill. This is just a little pile of sand that we're trying to turn into a mountain. This to me is the Starbucks red cup all over again, where a pastor decided to take up arms against Starbucks and cause a whole bunch of Christians to look like idiots. Because any Christian that boycotted Starbucks over their red cup to the rest of the world looked like an idiot. And I'm sorry, it's legitimately true. Because is Starbucks a Christian company? No. What do we care if their cup is red for the holidays? We don't. Do you have to buy from Starbucks? No. Starbucks is a luxury item. So, should churches meet? As I've said before, if God tells them to, yes. Should they be glorifying in the fact that they're rebelling and meeting? No. Should they be causing stirs on social media and saying that this is a coup from the government to destroy Christianity? No. There's nothing to support that. If that pastor decides to go to court with this and tries to make it a legal issue against religion, he is going to fail. Because there are businesses that have been shut down. There are legitimate concerts. The Olympics have been postponed till July 23rd of 2021. This is not a church thing. The Olympics, people, postponed. The NBA, they're not even having games that people can attend. This is not a church thing. This is not a religious fight. Don't make it one. You're going to lose. I'm not saying we're going to lose our rights. I'm saying that should you end up in court because you chose to have church and then you end up going to jail because of it, you're not going to win that battle in court. You're not. You can say as much as you want that church is an essential thing, and it is, but if your church requires you to have to meet inside a building in order to be a church, you need to think about what that is saying about your religion and your walk with Christ. Because the church is not a building. The church are people. This is not persecution. We are not facing some big test. Or maybe we are. But you know what the test is? How we're going to appear to the rest of the world. Because I'm going to tell you right now, we have the answer. We have the hope for humanity. Jesus Christ is the answer. He is. He's the one that gives you peace and hope and strength during this time. That's the answer. Jesus Christ. How many people are going to want to go to Christ when we're acting like this? We have the opportunity to be salt and light, to stand on that hilltop and proclaim the truth of God. Right now, the media, social media is being flooded and inundated with services and messages from pastors that have been silent on social media for a long time. We're seeing Bible stories being shared. We're seeing open sermons and open videos of Bible studies. Even in one of his daily updates, President Trump had the gentleman that runs My Pillow, I think it's called, and he stood up there and proclaimed that we need God on national television, and the liberal media is up in arms. This is the time to shine. So how are you shining? Are you shining with a look at me, look at our church, look how we rebel, look how we stand against the big government? Oh, look at us being persecuted. We can't have a gathering that's larger than 10 people, but all the rest of you can. No, no. We look like we're complaining about a red Starbucks cup. Time to stop. Time to stop. Your church wants to meet? Fine. Stop bragging about it. I said that in one of my other videos. Stop letting your pride dictate your narrative. This is an opportunity for us to flood social media with hope and lead people to Christ. We're not going to do that by saying we're being persecuted when no one can go anywhere. And the argument as to why places like Walmart are open when churches can't gather, that is essential. You need to have groceries. You need to have toilet paper, as the world has shown us with this toilet paper apocalypse response to the coronavirus. Still have no idea what that's about. Walmart is essential. Granted, most of the stuff in Walmart are luxury items you don't necessarily need. But just like in China, the things that remained open were grocery stores, malls. Most of the businesses in malls remained shut because they wanted to be. But Uniqlo was open through the whole thing. Uniqlo is a clothing store. But do they have 30, 40, 50 people in Uniqlo? No. Now Costco, when I went the last time I went, which was a couple weeks ago, had a line outside because they would only let a certain amount of people in at a time. So, while Walmarts are still open, remember that they have guidelines they need to follow as well. Airports are still open. There are places that need to stay open, hospitals, yeah. But places that don't need to, movie theaters, they shouldn't be open. And if they are, they might be shut down eventually. Small businesses are being made to work from home or not work at all. So instead of sitting here wondering why a pastor was arrested for breaking the rule about social gatherings larger than 10 people, why don't we see how we can help our community and be light on social media and actually spread the good news? And the good news is we're not being persecuted. No, the good news is Jesus Christ. And we are not being persecuted. In America, you have so many liberties and so many rights, and to try to make this about religion, that is not okay. Friends, just be safe and be smart. It's really not that complicated. And I can say that because I'm in China, where it started. So I've been through what you're going through. And our church is still allowed to meet here? No. But I'm not saying the government is targeting Christian churches. Although I do know that we will be one of the last things allowed to meet again. But churches were shut down in China. That's nothing new. But we will be allowed to meet again. And the same thing in America, which has a lot more freedom. And honestly, as I said in one of the other videos, some of the states, that was their last resort, saying that churches couldn't meet. Honestly, when New Mexico released their statement about the first time about limiting gatherings to smaller groups, they said the exception was churches. And I was like, I wouldn't do that. And I'm a Christian, guys. I'm a Christian. However you got to look at things, we are not immune to this virus. And it's prideful to be like, yeah, well, I know other Christians have died, but our church is special. Yeah. Be very careful about pride, guys. It comes hidden in many different forms. Many different forms. I believe that pride is the root of a lot of sins. I believe that may be the root of all sin. So let's be very aware of our pride, because that's not the answer the world needs right now. The world does not need pride. It's got enough of that. The world needs hope. We need to give the world Jesus Christ. We need to show the world that He is the answer. That we could be like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and say, if I get this virus and I die, it's okay because I'm going to heaven. I'd rather not spread it and give it to other people. So I'm not saying, oh, it's okay if I get the virus. I'm just saying if I am not spared this virus, then God is still good. It doesn't mean that he doesn't love his people. It doesn't mean that we're not protected. We're not immune. We're not elite. We are definitely blessed, and we are definitely special because we have Jesus Christ. But we are not better than anyone else. He loves his creation. He loves us. He doesn't want any to perish without him. And that should be the message. Not, look at this government persecuting the church. That should not be the message, because that's not the message. That's not happening. The message should be, look at Jesus Christ. Look at our peace. We're not going to stir the pot. We're not going to rub your noses in the fact that we're a church and we feel like we're elite and we're better than you and we can meet when you can't. We're not going to do that. We're not going to have a gathering of 300 people when the small business can't even operate with their 8 because of the social distancing rules and the fact that the government doesn't consider it essential. But we're going to sit here on Sunday and endanger lives because we're elite and we're better than everyone else. And I know you're sitting there thinking, well, that's not what we're saying. That is what you're saying. That's what the world hears. Trust me. Be smart, folks, and be safe. Jesus Christ is the answer. But we're not going to show the world that through pride. God bless.